All right, we are back here on SportsLine. 737-7767 is the number. Taking your thoughts on the Tennessee situation. Tonight, other things as well. We'll get to Dansby Swanson and Zach Stacy coming up, plus some NFL Combine stuff as well. Let's go to Tiffany. Tiffany, you are first up tonight here on SportsLine. Hello.
Okay, hey, Steve. If most of young ladies are saying it's true, being a former rape victim myself, I know. For every girl to come forward, it's two more that didn't come forward. So we need to take that number and multiply it by 2. Because believe me, it's more victims out there who just aren't saying anything. And I'm not saying that this is true or not, I don't know. But if it is, believe me, there's more victims out there. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Tiffany. We appreciate the call and certainly staying with you in your struggle with this as well. Look, unfortunately, that is a reality whenever you talk about sexual abuse or assault or any of those things, those sensitive things. It's difficult to come forward. And that is, to me, in a lot of ways, the most damning allegations of all this is they're basically saying that at the University of Tennessee, it is more difficult for assault victims to come forward because of the culture that is in place there. Tennessee says, look, we don't have a culture problem. Well, that's what they're alleging. They're alleging it's more difficult to get help. It's more difficult to report things. It's more difficult to get action from the school because of this stuff. That's what they got to deal with in all this stuff. Let's go to Philip. Philip, good evening.
Hey, man.
What's up?
Look, I am in no means a Tennessee Hawk fan. I kind of revel watching Tennessee suffer from time to time. But I say that to say this. What's going on here is going on across the country. And it's like your previous caller who just said, well, whatever the number is, you got to multiply it by 2 because most of them, never report this stuff. And you hear, when the Super Bowl runs around, you hear about, men beat women half to death, more so on Super Bowl Sunday than any other day. But here we are. There are no specifics whatsoever. None.
I'm sorry. What are there no specifics of?
There are no specifics of any of the allegations about this lawsuit.
Oh, there's a lot of specifics in the lawsuit.
But yet we're talking about the lawsuit. And Tennessee is under the microscope.
Hold on. Hold on, Phil. Before I let you go any further, you're going to have to explain that one for me. I just read through 87 pages of specifics about 8 different Jane Does dealing with their assaults and what the aftermath was in their reporting, how the university handled it, how the football program handled it, and those sort of things. That's a lot of specifics.
Okay. If a young lady is sexually assaulted, is her responsibility to go to the college that she's attending or to the police department? Because I find it hard to believe that young ladies are being assaulted, and any young lady that's assaulted that's wrong. Number one, that's wrong. That's wrong. But I find it hard to believe that young women are being assaulted at the University of Tennessee or the University of Kalamazoo. I don't care what university. If they're being assaulted and they're going to the police department and proper procedures are being done in law enforcement and that's being taken to the university and the university is turning a blind eye on it, well, where's law enforcement on that? Or are we talking about women accusing men of abusing them at a university, and they're going to the university and not going to the proper authority, and then screaming 6 months, a year, 2 years after the fact going, we didn't get justice. This needs to stop.
Philip, I appreciate the call. I'm very hesitant to go very far with that type of a call because that opens a lot of can of worms. But one thing I want to counter is it's a statistical fact that far fewer sexual assaults are reported than happen. It just takes common sense to even know that as well. You just got to figure that some people live with it. But there have been plenty of studies done. So now you have to believe that somehow these allegations aren't true and that studies, independent studies about other things, aren't true. The studies say that far fewer are reported than actually take place. The studies say that on college campuses, this is a pervasive problem. It's not just the University of Tennessee. It is everywhere. That this is a real problem in our society. That stuff happens. And we got to figure out a better way to encourage victims to step forward and go to the proper channels, as you just said. All of that needs to happen. And that is the thing that I think is so scary about these allegations, if you're close to the University of Tennessee, because essentially what they're all alleging is that either in their haze after the incident, after the traumatic incident that they went through, that when they tried to search for the proper channels, they were essentially shut down by the university, by the football program, by whatever, or that they didn't get justice. Those are the things that essentially have come out to this point. And again, the allegations are coming from the plaintiff side of things, so these are allegations at this point, and simply that. Anything that comes further is going to come in the court. After Tennessee investigates, after they get their case of facts together, and ultimately a jury would have to decide what the actual facts are, where the blame actually lies, how much fault falls where. But I'm going to be very, very careful on this program. And I think we all would be wise to be careful in talking about victims and how they report things, because the studies show that it's underreported a lot, and for reasons like this, because victims worry that in sexual assault cases, a lot of the times it becomes a he said, she said. And when that's the case, are you going to get justice? And even when you actually went through it, you know, so it's not a situation where someone might be creating it. That's a scary thing. Do you go through everything, put yourself through it, have to relive it, have to talk about it, have to possibly see that person in a hearing or whatever? Do you do that if you think I only have so much of a chance to win or to get justice? That's why it's very scary to talk about the fact that people maybe didn't come forward, or that you're doubtful that anybody who had gone through the experience didn't come forward. Because the studies say that they're not. They're not coming forward as much as you would hope they would. They're not finding the right resources, and they're not getting justice for it. All right, we got to take a break. We will come back. Phone lines starting to line up. 737-7767 is the number. Back with your thoughts after this here on SportsLine.